Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Now, let's make two things clear. ISIL is not Islamic. No religion condones the killing of innocents, and the vast majority of ISIL's victims have been Muslim. And ISIL is certainly not a state. It was formerly al-Qaeda's affiliate in Iraq and has taken advantage of sectarian strife and Syria's civil war to gain territory on both sides of the Iraq-Syrian border.
And good morning and welcome to Top Story. That's President Obama from last night. We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the show at 8:40, okay? So stick around for that, 7360300. Always the number to call. Good morning and welcome to Jill.
Well, good morning, Kelly. Welcome to you, too.
Nice to have you here again.
Yeah, Thursday.
It's like I'm always surprised.
That I show up every day? I'm sure a lot of our
up.
listeners are. People are like, what do you do to do that show? I have whiskey in my coffee. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. At 8:30, we do have the Cops of the Bad Guys list. And at 9 o'clock, we have Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game.
He's also going to have his roadkill recipe of the month. So Listen up, all you chefs out there. I'm sure anything with garlic and olive oil can mask the taste of anything. But we'll find out. Yeah.
Well, here we are, September 11th of 2014, 13 years after.
Hard to believe because I said to Tom, I said 13 years ago I was in Boston living.
Yeah, that's right.
I was there when
it's
it
always interesting to hear your account because you were kind of up close and personal to that thing. And as a show co-host, you always wonder what you should do to commemorate. I mean, it's been 13 years. You know, you wonder, should we have a huge deal? Should we just mention it? Should we talk about it? Should we play, you know, in the 10-year anniversary, we played, kind of relived it, you know, with a lot of the emergency calls and such, listen to all that, listen to the story.
And then sometimes you think, are you glorifying it? Not glorifying it, but, you know, so these, you know, whoever did it back in whatever countries they are, the terrorists can say, oh, yeah, martyrs, how great it was. We've really, you know what I mean? Like giving them homage. I don't know. It's tough. So many people were affected.
It's, but of course, it's, even now, how many decades after Pearl Harbor, we still a lot of times at least mention it.
I think you definitely have to. You definitely have to. But you wonder how many are celebrating on the other side of the world every time September 11th shows up.
Yeah.
Or plotting on today something that they hope will happen.
That's part of the issue, is that a lot of the experts believe that if ISIS is going to hit, it would be on a day like today.
Well, they could, but I have a lot of faith in our intelligence agency, and they've thwarted a lot of things. And so, you know what? They had intelligence on this too, and we didn't follow up on it.
Well, I know. It's just, you know, hopefully we've learned since then. But at any rate...
Well, you can't go through the airport without practically...
stripping down?
Yeah, and so, yeah.
I know. And it makes you wonder who won.
Well, and the planes came from Logan Airport, two of them from Boston. And I remember living there and traveling. And sometimes you'd literally have to wake them up to say, do you want to check my ticket? I mean, it had the worst security. Everyone would joke about it. Like, oh my gosh, you know, and don't take this the wrong way, you know, maybe older people work in security. I remember this older woman, probably like my grandmother. And I was like, you know, she was kind of dozing. Like, do you want to see my ticket? But that was the sad part. It affected so many people, those two flights coming from Boston and living there. And you just heard story after story after story. And
well, you were living within a block or two.
Not even a block.
Pilots.
Not even a block. I was in my condo, and there was a road. You walked up a sidewalk. Literally, there was the other side of the condo on the other street. And then there was the hotel. I think it was the Park Hotel. It wasn't a big hotel. That's where they were all staying. They'd stayed there for 3 days. I'm like, I could have walked past them on my walks or jogs or whatever. It was like right there. It's now gone now. It's no longer there, the hotel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
was that part of the impetus to get them to tear
down,
or was it just
I'm not
kind
sure,
of
but that's where they were staying. You know, It was crazy. And then you heard these stories, like the whole marketing department of TJ Maxx was on the flight, except for my brother-in-law's, one of his coworkers. His wife would have been on that flight, except she was on maternity leave. But she lost her entire department. You just heard stories all the time. My brother-in-law's, his brother Ed, was supposed to be on that flight at the last second, changed it. No one knew where he was. It was like stories like that everywhere you went. People were crying. It was just, it was so sad because it started to ripple as to who was on there, who wasn't. It was pretty awful. Still awful.
You spoke of the security or lack thereof at Logan Airport. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure you've been through there since.
Yep.
Has it improved?
It's changed, yes, quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I think they had an Israeli security consultant come in after that, and
his first suggestion was make sure everybody stays awake.
Hello. Yeah, it just was it was like that. I just remember we would joke about it, it was just so lax, and I think they videotaped it. They probably knew it wasn't so great. But I think at that time it was lax for everyone. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And so you just took it for granted. You could, a lot of times people could go to the gates that weren't even on flights. Remember those days? You could go with people through security.
Yes.
And so things had changed. But yeah, it was a horrible time. I remember watching Good Morning America that morning, going out to go to work. And they said there was a plane. They thought maybe it was a student pilot or whatever. And I remember watching it. And then the second one was when Charlie Gibson said, "This isn't an accident. We're being attacked."
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, my God. And you didn't know what to do. It's like, do you go to work? Do you not go to work? What do you do? I mean, it was just total kind of chaos. You didn't know.
Well, especially being that close to it. I can remember.
So that, 2 flights, 2 whole big planes coming from your city. Think how many people are affected.
Yeah.
A lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember here we got a call from one of our coworkers from home. He'd been watching TV, and he said, "Gosh, turn on the TV where the plane crashed into the World Trade Center."
Mm-hmm.
And so at that time, we didn't have a TV out here, so at that time there was just getting into streaming. A lot of the major networks were streaming, so I just found the first one I could, and that was ABC.
Right. They were, I think, that's the channel I listened to.
And I was sitting there watching the smoke coming up from the first tower, and I was sitting there, and it was kind of grainy. It wasn't the best quality, and kind of buffering a little bit. And then I saw something that looked like ran into the second tower, and flames shot out the other side. And I thought, what in the world is that? And then one of them said, "This is more like an attack."
Charlie Gibson, he goes, we're being attacked.
And I remember thinking at the time, I was almost in a panic. I thought, we got to do something. What?
You don't know what to do.
I got to call somebody and tell them.
You don't know what to do.
I know. It was the funniest feeling.
What to do.
I've got to call the president and tell him we're being attacked.
We're being attacked.
And it was just as helplessness has come over, and you wondered to what extent it was going to be. It was, gosh, is this just going on in New York? Is it also in Los Angeles, San Francisco?
Yeah, you didn't know.
Is this a concerted effort to take over the country? Mm-hmm. And those feelings that went through my mind for the first few minutes till we kind of got a handle on what was going on were just a very uncomfortable feeling.
Oh, yeah. And being out there was really, it was really...
I wasn't really going to do this. We're just going to kind of talk about it a little bit and move on. But it just seems like once you get talking about it, it was such a huge deal. And unless you were, 18 years... Anybody probably... 17 or 18 really has no concept. Anybody who is 13 or younger wasn't even here then, and then anybody who was up to about 18 were only about 5 or 6 at the time.
Well, my friend went out.
But if you have any comments on this,
and
if you were there or have any stories to tell, 736-0300. It's always it's interesting to listen to how it affected people, and of course that was a huge turning point in American history right there. I mean, that was
it changed
like
so
Pearl
much.
Harbor.
It changed so much, and it's just so many people's lives indirectly, how it was affected people's lives directly. I mean, my friend dated a woman. She was pregnant, and she had a little one, and she kissed her husband goodbye. She lives in Wellesley, and she goes and never saw my husband again.
Yeah.
He's never met his, it's just like these stories are just random people, you're like, my gosh, just one. She goes, you never had the concept your husband's going on a business flight and you'll never see him again.
Yeah.
It's just so mind-boggling, and all the stories back there, people you ran into. It was just, it was really
Yeah,
sad.
you probably heard a lot more of those stories being in Boston than
Well,
we did. Clear
because
out
think
here.
how many people were affected. Your friend was on the plane, or
Right.
my sister and her husband, they're friends. He was an attorney for this um, company, and he was the last person to talk to the CEO. He was on the flight and called him, and he's like, "Hey, I'll talk to you when I get to. I think was it going to L.A. the flight
I don't
from
remember.
Boston, something like that. And it's just shocking, and you don't think it can happen, but it does, and then you don't realize how many lives it affects, and when you're out there, it was just awful. It was just awful. Like you didn't know what to do, but you just saw people crying, and it was just awful for days. It was just ugh. It was just
Yeah.
shocking.
I remember they grounded all the planes.
Yeah, that was shocking as well.
And I found I was I guess I was watching a deal the other day on the Discovery Channel or something. When that happened, I mean, you got all these hunters in the wilds of Alaska, and the only way they get out there is by airplane.
Mm-hmm.
They grounded the airplanes, and so they had over
I think wasn't it like 3 days?
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
over 800 people in the outback in Alaska
Mm-hmm.
that they couldn't go get, that were scheduled to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was quite a panic at the time. I remember some news stories coming out. The ones in Alaska were saying, we got to go in there and get we need an exemption. And the FAA gave them an exemption. They let them go in and
You better
get
hope they
them,
caught
but,
something, otherwise they were going to be pretty hungry. What do they say? Vegetarians or bad hunters
Yeah, that's
or something?
right. It's a Indian word for bad hunters.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I think it's, you got to commemorate it. It was a horrible attack on this country, and
Even
Yeah.
even now, you watch this on TV and you hear the bells ring.
oh yeah. And when I was in New York last year, we went down to the World Trade Center to see the pools. They're really cool. They just, those infinity
Yeah,
pools, and you
yeah.
see the names, and you see a lot of families. We heard someone talking about their brother who was on there, the mother and their sister, and
yeah.
sketching the name on some paper, and it's very moving, and it's really hard to believe. And one of my friends in the Rotary Club, I was in Boston, she was on one of those sightseeing boats.
Yeah.
The planes flew directly over their boats. They literally saw them go into the buildings. She needed therapy for months. Seriously, they were whacked, and they were stuck on that boat for hours. They couldn't get back, but they saw everything. She was freaked out, needed help.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was.
We were, even though it hit us out here in this part of the country, I mean, we were still isolated.
A little insulated, yeah.
From everything that
Yeah,
went on.
it's
Interesting. 7360300 is the number to call here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. We got a caller. Before we get to the caller, just wanted to say that Clearwater Power Equipment has been in the Wood River Valley for many years now, and now they have a store in Twin Falls. They carry Husqvarna, the full line of outdoor power products, and they service and they sell. And you know what? That's what they do. That's their thing. They're not like, they don't sell windows, and they don't sell wood, and they don't sell pesticides. They just sell power equipment. So if you got any questions, they've got the answers. They got the full line of outdoor power products from Husqvarna, and they can service it, and they can store it for you too. Ask them about their storage plan. We're coming up on fall and winter. You're not going to need your big old riding lawnmower setting outside because you don't have any place
getting
to
all
put
rusty
it.
and
So
stuff.
give them a call. They also carry Echo, which has the best warranty in the industry. They're at 252 Washington Street, where General Building Supply used to be. And I know Jill doesn't like that description because General Building Supply, where is that? Well,
there are newbies in town. I hate to break it to
and
you.
for the
Sometimes they
newbies-
need actually an address.
for the newbies, it's 252 Washington
Thank you.
Street, and 734-7767 is the number to call.
That's all I'm saying. Just help the newbies. I was a newbie, and believe me, these directions people give you are crazy. Behind the Joe Shack, you're like, what? I don't know.
What Joe Shaw? Well, it's not there anymore,
no,
but it used to be.
it's like 30 years ago.
We got a caller. 7360300. Top Story, you are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to share. I live in Buell, and if I'm ever outside, Reagan's is not that far away from me. And when they do their heisters and they put him in the backup. There's that beep, beep, beep. And every time I hear that, I think about after the towers fell and the firemen were still there, when their tanks get empty or going to be empty of oxygen, they start beeping.
Mm.
And it sounds just like that. And every time I hear that, I just think, oh, man, that's what happened. And all those firemen died. So I just wanted to share.
That's an interesting observation. 13 years later, and some of those, it's the sights, it's the smells, and it's the sounds that reminds us that they are such powerful emotions with things like that.
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
So have a good day. I just wanted to share that.
Thanks. Appreciate that story. That is so true. Our senses are so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And,
so many
we
things.
We can remember things. And even now when I'm sitting out on the deck and I see airplanes fly over, I think, wow, during 9/11, we didn't see this for, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks, it seemed like. Well,
I think they definitely shut them down for 3 days. They shut
it seemed like it was longer than that.
I don't think it was. But anyway, they did shut them down.
They shut them down for a while, and the air around the big cities cleared because they didn't have all. It was an interesting time in America, one that we don't want to relive. But
no.
7360300, top story. You are on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that 13 years ago, as my 20-year-old sophomore son was going to college, I would have never thought that I would be attending the 9/11 memorial service at the Ada County Courthouse today because, his name, Sergeant Chris Workman, is one of the names on one of the pillars that they have constructed there as a memorial to the 70 lost soldiers from Idaho.
Aww.
And so I just wanted to tell you that, 13 years ago, I would have known, that my family would have been so affected by such a terrible act. And so we ended up losing our son 2 years ago because he was in Afghanistan. And so, anyway, I just wanted to let you know that it's just a crazy thing that, such an amount of time can make such a difference in people's lives and how important it is to remember Idaho soldiers that were lost especially.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.
Well,
my heart goes out to you.
I can hardly talk.
I know. I know.
Wow. What a message. What a message. 7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Good morning. I really hate to follow such an emotional expression because I wasn't directly affected by it, but I remember I was working in surgery and I had my OR set up, so I was waiting for the doctor to get there, and we had a TV there, so I was watching TV, and of course they broke in with the news, and I was able to see the second plane hit, and I remember the total feeling of fear, and it's just terrifying. And the thing I remember the most is the look on the faces of those people. They were terrified. Their eyes were huge. They were so confused and so lost.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
And when you think about that, and then the way it brought our country together.
Yeah.
And I wish we could get back to coming together without having to have such a catastrophe happen in our lives.
Yeah.
We've all drifted so far away.
Yeah, I remember that time everybody was waving flags. There were no Republicans or Democrats.
Right. We're just Americans. Well, thank you for all those messages.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Man, I tell you what, it is amazing. 13 years
I know.
after the fact, and emotions are still raw. I'm having a tough time getting through these phone calls this morning. We're going to change the pace here just a little bit. Then we're going to talk about what we're going to do about ISIS, and that's coming up here in just a little bit. But right now we have Twin Falls County Sheriff's Deputy Ken Mencl. Is it Sergeant?
It is Sergeant.
Why do I keep forgetting
I don't know.
that?
That's okay.
Sergeant Ken Mencl.
It's just a
Yes,
title.
welcome.
We all work for the sheriff's office trying to do our best to take care of things. So.
And we appreciate
We
that.
do.
Yes,
We
we
do.
So what's going on? Did you bring us some bad people today?
We did. We brought a couple people today. The first one is Jason Albertson. The Twin Falls County Sheriff's Office would really like to find Mr. Albertson. His date of birth is August of 1979. He's 6'1". He's about 34, 35 years of age, about 179 pounds, blonde hair, blue eyes. He's got two warrants, one for $5,000 for petty theft and one for $1,000 for theft of services.
Oh, no.
Jason's been known to hang out in the Twin Falls area, but if anybody's got some information, the Crime Stoppers number, 735-2307, or our dispatch number, 735-1911. Crime Stoppers would be more than willing to open up their pocketbook and pay a little cash to locate Mr. Albertson.
What was
There
that
you go.
number again, Ken, for Crime Stoppers?
735-2307.
2307.
Make a little money
Okay.
on
I know.
Jason Albertson. Is
Jason
that-
Albertson, yep.
All right, there you go.
Jennifer Miner is the next person we're looking for. She's got a no-bond warrant for possession of a controlled substance.
No, no.
She's last known to be perhaps in the Buell area or maybe even over in Gooding County. She's about 20 years of age, date of birth in 1994. She's 5'7", 106 pounds, with red hair and hazel eyes. Again, Crime Stoppers would be more than willing to assist you in some cash efforts to help locate her and bring her to jail.
Wow, very good. Well, we are coming up on the holidays.
Well,
We
you
are.
know, you got to start saving now.
Yeah. That's right.
I know.
So I understand the Sheriff's Department is getting involved in the social media aspect of things.
We are. It's a great effort for us to be able to put information out there to the community so that they're more aware of what's going on in Twin Falls County. We've had a Facebook page for quite a while, and we've done a fairly decent job at putting some different things in there when deputies get promoted or raise in rank or get a different certificate level from post, and we acknowledge those efforts. And we've had some stuff in years past about the Twin Falls County Fair and our canine program. We're going to really kind of make a concerted effort to update our Facebook page 3 or 4 times a week with the current events that are going on.
Oh, good.
Some of the things we've been struggling with recently, we've had a rash of break-ins in some of the storage units in the area.
Wow.
What area?
Between here and Filer,
Oh, okay.
Highway 30 area.
Wow, okay.
Oh, no
Kind of
kidding.
all over, yeah.
No kidding. Well, they are kind of sitting ducks out there in the middle of the night. You
They
know,
are.
Stop and think about
Yeah,
it.
and storage unit burgs have been something that we struggled with and had problems with for a long time.
Yeah.
Trying
Now,
to find
some
that
have
safe
those nice gates
Yes.
that my husband has done for a few of them, but
I got
more,
one-
a lot of them don't have them.
For the owners of those establishments, I have one word: Doberman.
Or a nice gate.
Yes, a nice gate.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. People can cut chains and get through those. but
Right.
No, come on. These are nice gates. So anyway, but yeah, so that's a little disturbing
Yeah.
that's happening.
So they can. How can they? Can they friend the Facebook page? Or how does that work?
Absolutely. You can friend our Facebook page. Just find us in a search, Twin Falls Sheriff's Office. Pretty easy search to look us up. It's got a picture of one of our patrol cars and our patch on the front page, so you know that you're looking in the right spot.
Okay.
We also just started a Twitter account yesterday,
Ooh.
and we've already started following Jill.
I don't
Oh
have
my
much to
God.
I don't have any followers. I don't even know what to say on those things. I'm like,
Well, you seem to have plenty to say here on the show, Jill.
I know, but it's just kind of weird with social media, I think. Gosh, you know,
Right.
because then you have these anonymous comments back, like we don't have enough on the show. Like I have to get some more nasty comments on my Facebook or Twitter.
And our Twitter
wow,
account
pinch
really
me.
is just going to have information like if we have a crash, just to pick a location in
So
Twin
you'll
Falls
tweet
County.
me? Okay.
3700 North and 2700 East. If there's a crash and the road's closed, we're going to just basically put that information out so people can avoid the area
That
so
would
that we
be
can get it
handy.
cleaned up. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you have that, you get a little notice. And
If we-
Yeah, absolutely.
come across missing people in Twin Falls County, as we take those reports and we're starting to look for, missing a runaway or juvenile or whatnot, that information will go up on there as well.
That's kind of interesting because have they identified the woman that they found, and do
Not
they
yet.
they don't know?
We have no idea on that one.
So
yet.
how, in that situation, do you look to see who's missing around the area? Because it's probably not Twin; it might be another city.
We do. We check with local law enforcement, Cassia County, Minidoka County, Ada County, and try and get information from each of those agencies in those areas if they've got missing people, so that we can try and help
I
identify
know,
those
that's
individuals.
scary.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
is.
Well, that's interesting. So, friend, Twin Falls County Sheriff Facebook page.
Yes.
And I don't know much about Twitter. Do they friend that?
And
or
just
how
follow us on
You
Twitter.
follow
you on Twitter.
I'm going to follow
Okay.
you now.
I
What's
know.
it
There you
under?
go.
Twin Falls?
Twin Falls Sheriff at TFCSO.
Okay, I'll find you.
All right.
I'll find you. I'll have to send a tweet out.
Just to go into your who's following you, and you'll see us right there, and you can just follow.
Who's following me?
Oh.
You're following
You're
me.
being
Ken.
followed by
You
the
are
Sheriff's
being followed.
Department, Joe. That's probably a pretty
Don't
good
give
follow.
me a ticket for going 7 miles under again.
There you go.
I only got a warning, though.
That's great.
All right, Sergeant Ken Mencl from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department. Thank you, sir. Appreciate
And
it.
be
Thank
safe
you.
out
Yeah,
there.
be safe.
Appreciate it.
7360300 is always the number to call here on Top Story. And wanted to remind you, the folks at Canyon Pawn would like you to stop by and say howdy and browse the store and buy something.
Yes.
You know, that's what it's all about. Or even just pawn. You have stuff, you need a little few extra bucks in cash, they do pawn. That's why it's called Canyon Pawn.
Do they take anything?
I don't know. You'd have to talk to Dave. I would suppose they're probably just about anything. I'm sure they're probably, any
I mean, they look at it, they
clandestine
evaluate
things. I don't know,
it.
probably nuclear devices. They probably don't take stuff like that. Stolen goods, they try not to take that.
No, but I mean,
Drugs,
like,
stuff
say
like
you
they
have
won't take
stuff
that.
in your house, would you take it over? I mean, I don't know what people take. We'll have to
That's
find
a good
out.
question. Yeah.
We'll have to, but they're looking for either. You go in and find out,
That's
I guess.
right. And here's the thing too. You have a chance to win a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger. Now, for you uninitiated, that is a fine firearm. That is a 17 Hornady Magnum rimfire caliber weapon.
It's like you're speaking Greek to me. I have
It
no idea what you're
uses-
talking about.
The shells use 22 Magnum casing, and then they neck it down to 17 caliber on the end. They fill it with powder. I mean, they're really nice little guns, especially for rodents and stuff like that. They're
Rodent
just
removal.
great. Well, you
Oh,
have a
jeez.
chance. Yeah, exactly. You have a chance
Kelly.
to win one of these. It's a Savage 17 HMR with AccuTrigger. So ask them about that. And while you're there, browse the store. They got some really cool stuff. Some new items still in the boxes, sitting on the
Wow.
racks there.
That's
So,
amazing.
and all kinds of guns. Canyon
Well-
Pawn is on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota.
And if you got a little rodent removal, Kelton will be able to tell you at the next hour how you can cook it and saute it and make it taste delicious.
Yeah, if you
Because
shoot it, there's no sense letting it go to waste.
Kelton
You can cook it up.
eats anything. Kelton Hatch, you know you do.
Rotisserie yard mole.
I don't know what it is. But he will be here with his roadkill recipe of the month.
Yes, indeed.
Now let's make two things clear. ISIL is not Islamic. No religion condones the killing of innocents, and the vast majority of ISIL's victims have been Muslim. And ISIL is certainly not a state. It was formerly al-Qaeda's affiliate in Iraq and has taken advantage of sectarian strife and Syria's civil war to gain territory on both sides of the Iraq-Syrian border.
For those who listened to President Obama's address to the nation last night regarding what to do about ISIS, you heard that. You also heard the plan to partner up with some coalition forces. It's planned that the United States will use airstrikes, and it's going to be quite an operation. And some will say it's not enough, too late. Others will say it's too much. And you know what? That debate is going to go on forever, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen here. But one of the things, out of all the things the president said last night, that was probably the most controversial was just what he just said. Two things clear. ISIL is not Islamic.
Why is that controversial?
Because I think a lot of people, including myself, believe that ISIL or ISIS or the Islamic State is Islamic.
What he's saying is he is not that no religion condones things like this, which is true. They
Except
could be
Islam.
It doesn't.
I don't care.
There's a radical
You will never
ring.
convince me.
Fine. You can be as no. Give me a break. There's radicals. They're terrorists. They're terrorists. They're no religious
That I will
group.
not argue.
They are terrorists, and they're not a state. It's like Boise is not a state. Boise State is not a state.
The fact, though, that saying that organization is not Islamic is...
It's not Islamic.
I think that is a false statement.
Here's
why.
Oh, please.
Here is why. From Encyclopedia Britannica, we get the definition of Al-Qaeda, okay? Al-Qaeda, a broad-based militant Islamist organization founded by Osama bin Laden in the late 1980s. What is ISIS? ISIS is the successor to Al-Qaeda in Iraq, formed by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi in 1999, which took part in the Iraqi insurgency against American-led forces and their Iraqi allies following the 2003 invasion of Iraq. During the war, it joined other Sunni insurgent groups to form the Mujahideen Shura Council and consolidated further into the Islamic State of Iraq. It is, in its self-proclaimed status as a caliphate, it claims religious authority over all Muslims across the world and aspires to bring most of the Muslim-inhabited regions of the world under its political control, beginning with Iraq, Syria, and other territories in the Levant region, which include Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Cyprus, and part of southern Turkey.
Well, you missed the point of what he was saying. That is not a religion. And people that do are Muslim, and that people they're very peaceful, and that is not what you call that's our religion. And to focus on that, of all the things he said, my gosh, I agree with him. That is not religion. So for anyone to say that, they can call themselves whatever the heck they want, an Islamic State or whatever. It's not. And that's not the point of it. The point is, what are you going to do with it? And, there's another point here. How are they getting their funding? These are not just all of our tanks that are left over. These, when you see them going down in their lines, they're brand new tanks. I mean, who's making their uniforms? Who is funding them? How are they getting their money? Why isn't that being cut off? And, the thing that disturbs me the most about this is that we're going to arm the Syrian rebels that are fighting against Assad. So now are we going to be part of their civil war? And is that where we want to go with that? That's disturbing to me. And you think, I don't know if that's where you want to go. Not to mention how the more money we give them for weapons, I mean, when they turn and run away, who gets the weapons? So, that part of it is disturbing to me. I have no problem with airstrikes. I do have a problem with airstrikes in Syria. I think we're going to create a war between us and Syria, especially if we're trying to arm the rebels that are against Assad. So
I have a list
this
here.
This is a mess.
I have a list. I want to get to the phones. I want to get a list of several of the things that could go wrong. And one of them is trying to fight a war without boots on the ground. I mean, we have American generals who are saying you just can't do that.
Wow.
You cannot take control of territory without boots on the ground. Now, I'm not saying that I'm just wishing for our country to just go full
Send
bore
their kids over
into
there
another
for
foot
what?
war, because I don't know that anybody is really in favor of that. But we've got a problem here. We've got an entity, an Islamist organization that wants to kill us, and they are going to stop at nothing. And for us to kind of poke them with a prod and say, just stay away, it's only going to make matters worse. It's not going to solve the problem. But let's go to the phone.
Nothing's going to solve the problem. Nothing's going to solve the problem. You're always going to have hate. You're always going to have these radical groups.
Then we will be taken over eventually by ISIS.
The U.S. will not be taken over.
See, that is such a naive statement. That is
really, they're going to come and take over our country. That is naive.
That is so naive.
Oh, my gosh.
7360300 is the number. Top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Have you seen what's going on in Europe?
Yeah.
I mean, Jill, no joke. I mean, I'm not even kidding. It's especially with, there's a town in France that's still called Kill Jew. I mean,
hey, I know there's a lot of anti-Semitism in France.
I know, but
because they're all moving to Israel. But I don't think the U.S. is going to be taken over by ISIS.
But what do you think is going to happen to Israel if ISIS grows and takes over that whole region.
I don't think they're going to take over Israel. I think Israel has enough firepower. And here's a point. Turkey has to get involved. It's their borders of Syria and Iraq. They have to get involved. The countries that are there need to step up and do stuff. And I don't think Israel is going to be taken down by ISIS. I don't.
Okay, and then my next question would be, do you feel like that the United States, I don't care who, is responsible for ISIS?
No, when we upset the Middle East,
okay,
there was a vacuum,
I didn't ask
we destroyed the Middle East. Yeah, we are responsible.
So we're responsible. So we broke it, but we don't have to fix it.
What's your definition of fixing it? That's
I
the
would
thing.
Contain and destroy.
Yeah, and how?
Well, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to send people back.
No, I don't think we should be sending.
Well, then
soldiers.
how are you going to stop them?
I think the other countries have to step up. It's their immediate problem.
But we're the ones who did it.
So what? We've broken a lot of things.
Oh, so we get to break it, just walk away completely, and then
how
when
many
these guys
more
go,
American soldiers should die for this?
Well, as many as it takes to stop it.
Would you send your kids there?
You know what? I would hate for my children to have to go to any war, but if that's what they choose to do, then I would support it.
No, I don't think so.
Unfortunately, we have a mess on our hands, and unfortunately, I don't know that there is any group, any military state in that area capable of fighting like American soldiers can fight.
Israel.
With the exception of
Israel.
Israel is their own little entity. And let me just say this. I don't fear ISIS taking over Israel as much as I fear ISIS and that way of thinking taking eventually, it's not going to happen today or tomorrow, eventually taking over America. Israel is God's chosen people, and to get in a little bit on the religious side here, God is watching out over Israel. I'm not so sure that God is watching over the United States anymore.
Oh, stop.
7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Yes, that's just crazy that we upset the Middle East. We started the war. They come over here on 9/11 and attacked us. What would have happened if we were saying that about Japan? We'd be speaking Japanese right now.
You know what? Iraq didn't attack us. Those people weren't from Iraq. They're from Saudi Arabia.
By the way, they were.
By the way, they weren't, actually. And for us to invade Iraq for that, but look what we did.
7360300, top story, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, everybody's saying it's Obama, it's George Bush's fault, and really, if you go way back and you remember the movie Lawrence of Arabia, after World War II, France and England broke up the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Israel had to fight to become a state, and they had to fight just about everybody.
They still have to fight.
They still have to fight just about everybody. And those borders were pretty much completely busted up. It's a blood feud between the Sunnis and the Shias.
Right.
It will never end. We will never stop that.
Right.
And you're wondering who's financing it? I'm sure it's Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so positive
who else has
that
the capability?
It's Saudi Arabia that I'd be willing to bet.
Supposedly our ally.
And the thing of it is they're a butchering group, and even the Sunnis will be tired of them. But invading Syria is pretty much going to put us face to face with Russia.
Yeah. I'm. This is the beginning of the end, folks, and that's all I'm going to say. 7360300, top story. You're on the air.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning,
Lovey. Good morning.
This is the part that's driving me insane. When I hear people say, "Oh, God this, God that," I mean, those guys are fighting because they believe their God is us.
Yeah.
And then here you are. The counterpoint is Kelly saying, "Oh, God doesn't choose us." I mean, when was the last time you spoke to the Creator, my man? And what did He say? If you do, then you're holier than thou. I'll bow down to you if you did that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure what he said, but that is my belief. And reading a book that was written 2,000 years ago that is proving it to be true today, that's all the proof I need. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to win anything in that area. I think we're going to have our own boots on the ground. I don't think we can trust anybody in that area. We're trying to we got the new government now that's in Iraq, and they have proven that they are unreliable, and this whole thing hinges on the Iraqi forces helping us out with this. I don't know.
Helping us out with this, it's helping them out. Helping them out. It's their country that's being invaded.
I agree, but they're not capable of doing it.
So we're going to send our soldiers in, which is exactly what they want. They have baited us, saying, come over here and fight us, and that's what they want. They killed how many of our soldiers over there? Give me a break.
This is unwinnable.
Oh, it is unwinnable. To send more soldiers over there to die?
We have a problem.
Come on.
We have a problem.
I think we have better intelligence than they do.
Next hour, we're going to be talking about fish and game with Kelton Hatch right here on Top Story.
Raindrops are falling on my head, and just like the guy whose feet are too big for his bed, nothing seems to fit. Those raindrops are falling on my head, they keep falling. So I just did need
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story, getting things steered over into another direction. And I just had B.J. Thomas just sitting there, all ready to sing.
Kelton looked at me. He goes, "Is this my theme song?"
No, and I love the song. It's just, I was thinking more of Andy Griffith or I don't know.
Mountain Man, something.
Let's see if I can do this.
Yeah.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Well, right. Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game is our guest this morning. Welcome, Kelton.
Hey,
welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Always fun.
It is. It is.
But he was so perplexed. Is this my theme song? See, Kelly, once he has his earphones on, he can't hear anymore.
Yeah, that's right. I can hear people talking. I'm in a different world.
Yeah. I think that's where you go on vacation.
Vacation. What is that?
Where you put your earphones on and you just pretend nobody's around.
That's what they call vacation, yeah. Well, at any rate, no, we're right in the middle of hunting season right now.
Yep. This is my favorite time of year. It really is. I was talking to Kelly just before you got back here, and it's like right now everything's coming out of your garden, and so you've got all these fresh veggies, and then you get to go shoot a bird or a deer or an elk, and you've got your whole meal.
Your whole meal right there.
Right there. It's awesome because
go.
you get to use fresh garden vegetables and some fresh meat, and it's just awesome.
And you are going to have your recipe. You did bring one with you.
I did.
So at the end of the segment,
I was so perplexed on which one to use because there's so many. It's like that's what I was thinking.
It's like Christmas for you.
It is because you've got fresh tomatoes and fresh squash and all these different things you can cook with it, and it just makes an awesome light meal that you completely produce by yourself.
And like a 14-ounce elk steak or something like that.
Yeah, well, it takes 2 or 3 of them to get 14 ounces, but
I like to think
or
big,
just a slab of it somewhere.
There you
slab.
Go. But I mean, that's the way people used to live. I mean, they lived from day to day, and they'd go out and they'd hunt and they'd bring in their stuff. And now we just go to the store and buy it.
Yeah,
you know?
And so and it's still fun. My kids get a kick out of it. I mean, it was kind of funny. My youngest boy, first time he had shot a turkey. We're sitting here getting ready to eat, and he says, well, have you guys forgot something? And I'm sitting here going, no, we had prayed and all this other stuff. And he goes, to thank me for the dinner? Oh. And I'm sitting here going, oh, yeah, thank you for harvesting that turkey for us.
There you go.
Oh, that's cool. So is it a pretty successful hunting season so far?
Things are going gangbusters right now. You know, people are struggling a little bit that have been hunting areas for years for deer, and the reason is because when you head up in the South Hills, it's pretty amazing right now. It is just if it wasn't for the brown grass, it's the tallest. You'd think of spring because there's so much green grass underneath. There's 3 inches of green grass underneath all the brown grass, and then
from the rains we
got, and then all of the catch ponds. That are typically dry this time of year for the water, the winter runoff, are completely full. I was driving up Dry Creek the other day, and every one of these ponds that are always empty are completely full.
Wow.
And so there's deer. The deer aren't in the typical spots because they can be anywhere. Usually they this time of year they move to the areas that have the green grass and the forbs and the higher quality feed. Well, everywhere on the mountain is that way now.
Yeah.
And so, but people that are getting into them, they're seeing a lot of deer. Elk hunters have been tremendously successful this year. Lots and lots of elk, are Smoky Mountain Zone and all our zones up north. They've been just doing really well. Been seeing lots of elk coming out. Good numbers of elk. Ruffed grouse, forest grouse season's going on. People have been talking about good numbers of birds, and so and it's gorgeous weather right now. I mean, how often this time of year do you wake up and it's, it was 36 degrees the other morning, and then it's warming up to. It's just one of those Indian falls kind of Indian summers.
You need the heater in the morning and the air conditioner in the afternoon.
And it's just I love.
I know
this
tonight they say it's going to be 37.
Isn't that awesome?
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you open the windows and
I
you
know.
actually sleep?
You can turn off the air conditioner.
Yep.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
Kelton, we've got a call. So
all right.
we're
awesome.
Starting early today. Top story. You're on the air with Kelton Hatch.
Yeah, I've got a question about the Access Yes program.
Good. I'll try to answer.
I am a landowner. I border BLM property.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the problems involved in trespass, access, etc. Now, I picked up a copy of your Access Yes book
mm-hmm.
and was looking through it just out of curiosity, to see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then something started, and maybe I don't have the right interpretation of everything. You are the fishing game is basically paying landowners to let hunters on for access.
Correct.
And okay, I'm just going to look at the deal here. The Lava Lake deal. You have access to 12,800 acres of private land and 15,000 acres of public land.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We don't pay for
the fishing game paying the landowner to access the public land?
No, we're not.
Okay. Well, that was the question, because this public land, as I understand it, even though a rancher has it leased for grazing option, that's what it's for, is for the grazing. He cannot say who drives on the public land or anything else. I mean, it's public land.
Well, and that's true to a point, because it is public land, and if you can get access to that land, you have complete ability to use it. One of the issues that we run into on some of these larger ranches that are, we've got some ranches up north that are pushing, 40, 50,000 acres, and they've got a lot of public land inside their boundaries that completely surround it. And if they own those roads going across their private land, they don't have to allow people into small tracts of BLM and state lands. So those are higher on our priority list. Lava Lake had always let it in, but what we do is...
Yeah, that was just an example in the book, because, I was thinking, well, are we as sportsmen having to pay a rancher that has BLM lease to access public land? That was just rubbing me the wrong way, as you can understand.
And I understand that. Our goal with this Access Yes program is ranchers put in bids for their land. We'll pay higher amounts of money for access to the Snake River, where we don't have one of our highest pieces of ground that we pay for is a couple dollars an acre for access is on like a 15-acre piece that the guy allows people to launch their boats on his private property into the Snake River. Other places that offer like bird hunting, upland game bird hunting, big game hunting and stuff like that are another important thing for us. And then the next one is ranches that because of their location block a lot of public land or easier access to public land. And so we put those higher on our priority list, and those are the ones that the sportsman's group that comes in and picks which access yes pieces we pay for. We don't pick it as a department. We have a group of 6 men that come in that are sportsmen from the community that have volunteered to be on this commission. They look at all the different bids, and then they will say, yeah, this has got a higher priority because it allows us to get easier access to this public ground that is in the middle of their ranch or behind their ranch. We do not pay anything for the state or federal lands that it allows us to get to, but we do pay for the private land or access across the private land.
To get there.
All right.
To get there.
Very good. I'm glad you explained that. That's an interesting program.
Yeah, and it's a great question because that's one of those things that people, it can be interpreted several different ways, and so I was glad he asked. So
736-0300, top story. You are on the air with Kelton Hatch.
Hey, good morning. I got a question, and I think I already know the answer to it, but I buy a big section of land and feed the elk to come onto my land and stop the hunters from hunting on it. Is that illegal?
If you buy,
like put a salt lick on it or whatever.
You know, it would have to be a monstrous piece of ground to keep elk off of it because they're wandering, especially during breeding season this time of year. And no, if you own a piece of ground and you don't have to allow people to come onto your property. It's kind of like your backyard. It's your private property, and so you don't have to allow people to come into your backyard. And so, and people have salt licks on it for cattle and things like that. They would never keep a herd of elk on there unless it was a massive, I mean, several 100,000 acres. Because they move and wander, and they're going to keep deer and stuff on there. But
well, let's take that a step further then. Let's say they fenced it, and then they allowed them to come in on the gates, and then they closed the gate.
If they cannot high fence.
Okay.
If they high fence, we go in as a department and remove all the state's animals from that area. Whether we tranquilize them and move them, or we herd them out before they build the fence, or we work with them to get at a certain time of year to fence when the animals aren't there, because those are state lands. I mean, those are the state's, everybody that lives in the state's animals, and so they can't high fence them and keep them into their property.
Like it's their own.
Like it's their own,
Yeah.
no. So the animals, as long as they have ability to move to and from, the property, landowners can. So, I mean, we've got that all over the place because, I mean, there's nothing elk-like better than fresh alfalfa. But the issue that we usually end up is the landowners don't want them there because it's eating a $200 a ton crop, $220 a ton crop, or corn. We have several ranchers out here along the foothills that have cornfields that lose between 50 and 100,000 a year on bull elk going in and cleaning the velvet from their antlers.
Oh, wow.
And they don't charge the sportsman for all the damages. Some of them do. We have damage fees or depredation claims that landowners do, and we do have some that do it, but not all of them do. So, I mean, I understand where he's coming from, but there's not much that can keep an animal on a piece of ground unless it is a high fence.
All right, and that brings me to another question, but I'll have that after the break, right here on Top Story with Kelton Hatch from Idaho Fish and Game.
Cool.
Yeah. 736-0300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Jarrett Mills.
Jarrett Mills, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is police.
Police.
Police, police.
Okay.
Go to our website, newsradio1310.com. Click on Word of the Day. Type in police. Listen tomorrow. If you hear your name tomorrow and you played the word today, $100 coming your way. Just like that. Didn't know I was a poet. Didn't know I was a poet, did you?
I know. Kelton, are you playing the word of the day? You could win.
I'm just not a game of chance kind of person.
Wow.
Well, it's been nice talking to you today, Kelton.
It's skill.
We'll see you later.
It's total skill.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
I was going to ask.
I don't even buy lottery tickets. I mean, I'm an American, I guess.
I was going to ask, is it illegal to feed wild game?
It's not illegal. It's just not recommended. And the problem is what happens is people see, like in the winter, they see one poor starving deer somewhere, and this deer has made its living for its whole life, pawing and picking and finding. Well, they feed the one, and then all of a sudden it tells all its friends, and then they have like 60. We got a guy over in Pocatello area that he had started feeding a few turkeys one winter. He ended up he had like 5 to start with, and now he's got over 200, and they've killed his lawn completely out. And so we've had to go in and
it's that entitlement attitude they get.
What do you start? Well, like a seagull. They start, squawking. You give them a cookie. They're squawking because they're telling the whole flock to come get it.
And they are. And so I highly recommend not feeding animals. I mean, people do it. We've got recommendations against it. And but
when people may think they're starving, but they may just be fine.
They are.
And their group has sent them out there dressed that way in order
They're
to
anorexic.
find out,
They're
in order to
just
find where the
anorexic.
food is. And then once they capture it, they go back and they change clothes and they come back and everybody wants to eat.
Wait, so Kelton, so you had to remove all the turkeys?
Yes.
And so have any come back? Like, have they still heard?
Because you can't.
If he stops feeding them, do they get angry and will attack?
Oh, they just start eating your own stuff. I mean your plants and stuff like that. And so they've eaten all these bushes and these yard, and they've pecked, and I mean they've dug, and I mean they root around.
Could you imagine that, like that marital argument? Honey, I don't think you should feed the turkeys. No, just a little. No, I don't think you should. And then
They're just not very appreciative animals.
Then
are
they just eat everything.
Well, and then the grandkids couldn't go out there. The wife was saying because it's like there's turkey poop everywhere. And so you've got 200
She must
turkeys.
have been thrilled.
Yeah, nobody was thrilled. And so that's
Don't
that's
feed
what
the
happens.
animals.
We have that happen all the time. I mean, somebody starts feeding 2 deer and then they've got 40 deer, or 1 or 2 elk. And then
Amazing
they've
how
got
they
100.
talk,
Yeah.
They're just little chatters.
They go, hey, there's free food over here. Let's
Free
go.
food, buffet.
It's kind of like junior high boys.
Yeah.
Bring a pizza out and see how many boys show up.
There you go. There you go.
Wolf and grizzly observations. Are we seeing quite a bit of those?
Well, we're needing quite a bit of those.
Okay.
What we're asking all sportsmen or anybody that's out and about when they locate wolves or bears, grizzly bears, to tell us where they're at. Collect as much data on it as you can. How many's in the pack, basic size, location. GPS locations are awesome. We're just funding sources have been slowed and cut in some instances, and so what we're trying to do is just get better locations on different packs and stuff like that. And so when you're out and about, please get a hold of us. And I was going to pull
How long are they in that location? When you say GPS locations, I mean, how long are they there where you can then get there?
The thing is...
Or you're just recording it?
They don't range very far?
No, they have a huge range.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is typically if they go through an area, they have a circuit that they'll do, whether it's 50 miles or 100 miles, and they'll be back through there within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they're just jogging around, checking out their different hunting spots, and so they'll come back through there, but it gives us good locations. We have 32 packs that are collared. We know that we have a lot more than that in the state. We figure we have closer to 100 packs.
Wow.
And so we're just trying to get better locations and more information from sportsmen on that and other people that are out and about, and also on the grizzlies. I mean, with grizzly delisting moving the direction it is, we've got GPS locations on grizzly bears from over out of the Yellowstone Park area, and they're moving as far as Soda Springs, some of these GPS collared bears. And I mean, so they're...
Is that an unusual area for a grizzly? Or?
Well, it's, it's 150, 200 miles that it's moving, and so we just want people to be aware that they can be out in bear country or in wolf areas, and just to kind of keep their eyes open and tell us where they're seeing them.
Has there ever been an instance where a wolf has harmed or killed a human in the state of Idaho that you know of?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Not that I know of, but there's lots of different stories going around, but none where they've actually injured or killed anybody. So.
Kelton Hatch is with us from the Idaho Fish and Game. If you have questions or comments, this would be the time. 736-0300. 736-0300 is the number here this morning on Top Story. Before we get back to Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game, just wanted to mention the Certaset flexible pipe that you can now put out in your fields, and then when you have to go out and work your fields, you don't have to move the pipe anymore. You're able to grow and harvest every inch of your field because you don't have to go out and spray with ground sterilant or killer so that it keeps your pipe clear. And when you go out to work the field, you don't have to go out and move the pipe out, work the field, bring the crew back, put the pipe back out. And it's just technology is a wonderful thing. It can either save us or it can kill us. And in this case, it's going to save us. So talk to them about this Certaset at Farmore of Idaho, 324-3341, or at farmoreofidaho.com. And I think it's tomorrow. We'll be talking to a couple of the folks.
We
from
are
Farmore.
Tomorrow at 9.
Yeah, that'll be kind of fun. It's always nice to finally meet the people you've been talking about for months.
That's right.
We have Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game here with us this morning on Top Story. Okay, there's what you have here, an ASA, Artificial Simulated Animal. What significance is that?
Well, we try to get this information out every spring or every fall before we start using it. It's basically a fake animal that we put up in situations that aren't safe, or situations we don't want sportsmen shooting at animals. We get reports of people driving down roads and shooting from the roads, or we get reports of night shooting, or we get reports of trespassing and things like that. And so we have an ASA, a fake animal, that we set up in these areas, and then the officers set behind it and wait. And if people pull over and shoot at it from the road, it's illegal. So we'll give them citations for that, or we'll put it out in areas for night shooters, because like out in the South Hills or any of our backcountry roads on turns and stuff like that, we get this time of year start getting a lot of reports, not a lot, but a few reports on people, driving these roads,
shooting from their cars,
from the roads, from their headlights. And so, or we have pheasants or sage grouse that ASAs that we'll set in farmers' fields that are clearly marked no trespassing. We had one of those set up over by American Falls. It was sad. It was the opening morning of pheasant season, and it was behind a no trespassing sign about 100 yards out in the field, and we had two trucks that pulled up at the same time. Both of them jumped out, ran out to the edge of the field, and started shooting at it. And it's like,
what part of no trespassing don't you understand?
and that's the problem. And that's one of the issues that we face. And our goal is to try to limit this type of activity, because we don't want to have any more private land shut. Because of poor people's ethics. And another thing, we don't want people to be injured. And so when it takes us quite a bit of time to set these up, because our big deal when we set these scenarios up with the ASA, like a deer or an elk, we try to put them in a place that we've got a good backstop, so if people pull over and start shooting at it, that the bullet's only going to go into the dirt or kill our poor fake animal. I brought a story from last year. We set this ASA up over in Unit 56, is over by Burley, and we ran it for 3 hours. And in 3 hours, we had over 60 rounds of ammunition shot at.
You're kidding.
Well, and it was a doe.
How many people would 60 rounds be?
This would be in an area that the hunters would know that this is a no hunting area.
Well, yeah, this was a general hunt, and what we had was a deer that was a doe, so it had no antlers. It's an antlered only hunt for adults. Youth could shoot at antlered deer. Or antlerless deer. They could shoot at does or bucks.
So if a kid shot at this ASA, that would be okay.
We'd call it off before they shot. But what we was doing, we was also having a lot of issues with people shooting from this main. It was a gravel road, but it's still a maintained road. And so we set this up about 150 yards off the road. And we ended up giving 11 citations.
Oh my gosh.
And 4 warnings. Because and then we had like 50 or 60 rounds shot at our deer, and it was just really sad, because you'd be a truckload of people would be coming down the road, and maybe one kid would jump out and 4 adults, and everybody would start shooting at this doe, which wasn't legal for the adults to shoot at.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Is
we
it
know there's
disturbing to you that so many people don't really follow the rules?
it made me sick.
Yeah.
On that, because sometimes we'll set this up and we'll have no incidents whatsoever, and it's like, yes, sportsmen are being very ethical. They're following the rules. They're doing what they. But then other times you have people do this, and it's usually a loss of license. With when it was shot, one bullet hit it in the neck, broke our motor gear because its head turns the tail switch.
Oh, so it looks very real.
It does, and so we just want people to know we're out and about.
So you
live
lose
by
your
the rules.
license and any fine?
And there's a fine.
How
yes.
much?
Just depends on whether they're shooting from the road, whether it was an illegal take of an animal, whether it was behind trespassing. I mean, there's lots of different scenarios.
Yeah, we'll be right back with Kelton Hatch from Idaho Fish and Game. 7360300 is the number to call. This is your last chance if you have a question or a comment for Kelton Hatch with Idaho Fish and Game. And
after Huckabee, he'll give his recipe.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Roadkill recipe with
Of the
Kelton
month.
Hatch.
Boy, this is a tough one this month because there's so much. I'm just giddy.
Try,
I'm
Kelton.
just
Just
giddy.
try. Just try.
We'll have to have you on for a daily.
I could
deal,
do a
yeah.
daily recipe.
Going at
be
this
nice.
rate, it's going to take us 25 years to get through all of your recipes. At any rate, are a lot of the streams and lakes around here being stocked right now? Or?
You know, this is our time of year. This is our second time of year to stock. We do a lot of stocking early in the spring, and then when temperatures start cooling off and we've got good water tables in some of our lakes and reservoirs, we will go back and start stocking again because it's just a good time of year for fish to hit the water. And so a lot of my fishing buddies love this time of year because it gets rid of all the hunters. And so there's less fishermen out there because a lot of people that hunt and fish, and the ones that just fish love the fall because all the hunters are gone hunting.
Who
fishing
might be normally fishing.
That might be normally fishing,
yeah.
and this is to them the best time of year to fish. It's the water's cool, the fish are very active, trying to get fattened up before the long cold winter, and so really good time. Things have stabilized since all our torrential downpours of rain.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we didn't get like what Phoenix and those areas got.
Oh, wasn't that terrible?
And so, but we did get more than our fair share of rain.
What are some good spots people should look out for?
It's really hard to go wrong anywhere right now.
Really, anywhere?
I mean, Salmon Falls Creek has always been fishing well. Any of your stream fishing right now, water's running clear, water's cold, and the fishing should be really good in any of our streams and reservoirs right now.
So is that going to mean good news for next spring? Well, a lot of if we don't have. Is there such a thing as a too harsh winter for a fish?
It is. If it freezes too hard and the water pull is too low, we can lose all our oxygen in a pond. And so if it freezes too hard and the ice gets too thick, and so you can. If it's a bigger body of water, we typically don't, but we will get low DO or dissolved oxygen levels if the ice gets too thick and we don't get any of that turbulence to put more oxygen into the water in the top of the lake. So, we're anticipating a really good year for next year and really good fishing this fall.
So if somebody was thinking about going fishing this weekend and taking the family fishing from the bank, is there any suggestion from you on what they might try using?
For kids and stuff like that, night crawlers are really hard to beat on a bobber. For adults, I mean, I get bored if I'm not, casting a fly or throwing a MEPS or something like that.
Yeah.
Something that gives you a little action so that you're moving and doing things. And then after a while, I'll toss a night crawler out there and, kick back and read a book or take a nap. Put a bell on the end of the pole. And so
I thought that was what fishing was for, just to go out and take a nap, read a book, whatever.
At my age now, that's what hunting and fishing's for. If I can find a nice windless slope in the shade, if it's too hot, or a nice sunny spot if it's really cool.
So when people
I can
ask
take a nap in the hills pretty
Kelton,
easy.
where do you fish? What do you tell them, or do you not give up your good spots?
Mostly I'm a rock creek. I'm a small stream type fisherman. I don't really do a lot of lake fishing and stuff like that. And so I love going up Rock Creek Canyon and just fishing up through there, just wading those little plunge pools and stuff. You don't catch a lot of fish a lot of times, but it's just really pretty and cool and quiet. And
it's
so,
kind of the experience, isn't it?
To me anymore. I love.
If you go fishing and you catch a bunch of fish, then doggone it, you got to clean them.
Well, you got a lot of work going on, and so I like Goose Creek, I like Trout Creek, I like any of those little small streams back in the South Hills because you can get back in there and.
It's amazing where you find fish too. You see a little stream and think, oh gosh, there can't be anything in that.
Yeah, some of my best fishing has happened on creeks that are 3 to 5 foot wide.
Yeah, that you can jump across.
You can jump across, but you don't because you might hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But no, it's just the experience for me, getting up in the hills and just enjoying it. But I've got buddies that are hitting the walleye hard right now, and they love fishing, and that's what they do. And so just get out and do that.
Okay, good.
So, landowner, hunter, and public land. Isn't that Operation Respect? Do they still call it that, or used to? Or?
Well, it's just I've never heard of Operation Respect it, but I like that.
Yeah, you can use that. I won't charge you anything.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
And so no, what we just want to do is just re-emphasize. I was going to run through our seasons. Right now we got archery season going. We got some rifle, deer, elk, and antelope seasons. Forest grouse is going on. Chucker, quail, and partridge open on the 20th. Sage grouse open on the 20th to the 26th. Youth waterfowls on the 27th and 28th of this month. Sharptail season opens October 1st. Youth pheasant hunt is the 4th through the 9th. Controlled deer hunts open on the 5th. General deer hunts open on the 10th. And general pheasant opens up on the 18th. Everything's happening right now.
Everything's open. Open.
It's open. So when you're going out and about, just remember the public lands and the private lands are. This is our opportunity. It's not our right to hunt. It's an opportunity we have to hunt. So just respect other sportsmen. They're out trying to have a good time too. Just go out and enjoy yourself and.
Obey the laws.
Obey the laws and keep the mountains like you would your backyard. Clean it up.
Thanks, Kelton. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger are the financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. And don't worry, Kelton, that comment didn't get on the air, so you're safe.
I know, his face is like,
Hey, I am here to tell you about the Lowen Honey Loader from Stanley & Company, which is available through Stanley & Company. It loads any type of manure. It doesn't care. It's not discriminatory. It'll load liquid or frozen or dry and up to 7 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. So if one of these Lowen Honey Loaders sounds like it might be a good deal for your operation, then get a hold of Pat Hartzell with Stanley & Company, and he can fix it up. So, I mean, if you just say, hey, man, I want to buy one of these and I want it today, he can handle that. He can make that happen. Or if you want to see one in operation before you buy, he can do that too. So give him a call to 280-1167, and that is Pat Hartzell with Stanley & Company. It's almost like we need some sort of an intro here for Kelton Hatch's Roadkill Recipe of the Month.
What happened to raindrops?
Oh, well, that wouldn't be a very good one, no.
We got nothing.
That's kind of
nothing on his board anymore.
That's kind of a sleepy one, but...
Okay, what'd you come up with?
So what are we cooking today?
This is just one that I like throwing together. It's for dark-meated birds, for like your ducks and your geese, and for sharptail and sage grouse and stuff like that.
Mainly sage grouse, though, right?
Yeah. Oh, stop. Leave that poor sage grouse alone.
We have sage grouse right out
They're
here south of
trying to
town.
survive.
And I love sage grouse. A lot of people don't really care for eating them, but I really enjoy them. But what you need to do is you take the meat off the bird, breast them, take the meat off the legs and stuff. Take a piece of, wash it really good. Get all your buckshot out of it. Get it really clean.
That would be nice.
And then you take
hurts to bite into a buckshot.
It does.
Oy.
And then you put it between some plastic bag, or like a Ziploc.
Plastic wrap? Oh, Ziploc,
and then you
okay.
pound it.
Okay.
Pound it just like wafer thin.
Wow,
Okay.
like just shooting it wasn't enough.
You pound it so it's really, really thin.
Destroy
and then
it.
I wash it again.
Okay.
And get it clean, because it's amazing how much of the blood and that you can get out of. And that also will help the flavor, because a lot of that flavor, people don't like it because it's kind of gamey.
Okay, you got to start going
Oh,
faster
sorry.
because we're going to run out of time.
Okay, so then you hurry and you take it and you kind of cross cut it. You take some nice olive oil, put it in a frying pan, put some garlic in it, throw it in there, and it's about 30 seconds to a minute per side. Brown it.
So you don't bread it or anything?
Nope. I just like it browned in garlic and a little salt and pepper. Then you take it, you have some boiled noodles. Then you have to make a broth, chop up tomatoes, onions, and chicken bouillon. And you put it in there, simmer it down, put some capers in at the last minute, and put that over pasta noodles and lay those thin slices of your dark meated bird over the top of it. It's delicious.
What about a squeeze of lemon? Wouldn't that be nice?
You can do that
there
also.
You go.
Lemon, lime,
whatever.
So they can get this recipe book through Fish and Game, right?
They can't. Well, that was just one that I love.
That's a Kelton recipe.
That sounds good.
Kelton, thank you
Thanks,
so
Kelton.
much. We'll see you next month.
You bet. Bye.
Hey, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you tomorrow here on Top Story. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.
I thought I had 4.